Hey everybody, First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. A lot of weather to talk about. The heat, the chance for some big storms today, but also potential Tropical Cyclone 9, which we'll get right into because obviously we all have kind of Dorian anxiety here in the southeast because of the impacts it had on the Bahamas and the Outer Banks and other parts of the Carolinas. So let's get right to it. This is our potential tropical system. Now, before I get into that, first question I get about this. Oh, wait, I thought we had hurricanes. What's this tropical cyclone? Remember, tropical cyclones are the same across the entire world. They just get different names. Tropical cyclone is the meteorological definition of a storm over warm water in the tropical regions that spins counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, clockwise in the southern hemisphere, and has 74-mile-per-hour winds. Depending on what ocean it's in, it could be called a hurricane, a typhoon, or a cyclone. But they're all technically tropical cyclones. And that's the technical term. So that's why you see that. So you could call it potential tropical storm, tropical cyclone, hurricane. It's essentially all the same thing. Here's our circulation right there over the southern Bahamas. Now, I'm going to tell you why this isn't a big deal and something to worry about, even though you saw social media try to scare everybody with Dorian Part 2. Remember, those people that do that, they're not helping you. They're not doing anything proper. It's weather hype. Remember, I always like to define weather hype is raising alarm versus raising awareness. If they're trying to scare you and they're not trying to get you aware of something, then that is weather hype. So this system, while it is going to become Tropical Storm Humberto and eventually maybe Hurricane Humberto, it's not as big a deal for the U.S. As you might expect. Now, the Bahamas, this could be a big deal because of the devastation from Dorian. Just rain alone is going to be a problem. Let me show you the updated track here. So here's a little wider view. The track takes it like a boomerang close to Florida and then slings it off towards the east. Now, you're probably wondering, like, why is it going to do that? Well, it can't come up into the Carolinas and really move to the northwest much because we've got a couple things coming. We've got a backdoor cold front, another strong front back to the west, and we've also got a big trough digging down across the eastern half of the country. So here's the forecast cone. This is the updated cone you can see here on the map. Notice the front here and the backdoor front. So there's really no opportunity for this to come up this way again because this big trough and jet stream is going to force it out in this direction. Remember, we've had a monster heat wave over us and the trough is coming down and that's going to kind of kick this thing out of here. You can see it pretty clearly on the water vapor loop as well. I'm going to show you this water vapor loop. I mean, look at this low, upper low over the Great Lakes, upper low over the Gulf of Mexico, and here comes the trough. So there's really only one place for this thing to go right now. It's eventually going to recurve and stay offshore. Now, because it's going to recurve and mainly stay offshore, it does have the potential to get to hurricane strength because it's going to be over water most of the time. So when you saw the forecast, you saw it as a tropical storm near Florida, and it will become a tropical storm over the northern Bahamas, probably sometime Saturday morning, and then it becomes a tropical storm Humberto off the east coast of Florida. So they'll be on the west side. Still some impacts here. There is a tropical storm watch up for the east coast of Florida. But then because of the recurvature, it's over warm water. It becomes a hurricane by Tuesday into Wednesday and eventually moves out over open water. So for the coast of the Carolinas, you're probably looking at some swells and rip currents, but that's about it. I don't expect to see a lot of impacts from Humberto. I actually expect to see more of an impact from this cold front, which you could see dropping down from the north. This cold front is actually going to help kick off some showers and storms today, and then this next front will keep showers and thunderstorms in the forecast in the afternoon. No washouts, but there'll be scattered storms around the next couple of days. So the good news with this pattern is it's going to keep Humberto away from us, at least for the time being. And we'll have to keep an eye on the tropics, obviously, into October. But I'm telling you right now, Humberto is not a significant concern right now for the southeast. So let's talk about the pattern change, which would bring us cooler weather, but also could help deflect more of these tropical systems. So the pattern is to try to keep everything away from the U.S. But real quickly before I show you, I just want to show you how the model guidance is all trending off to the east. This was the overnight model runs. I'm going to pop up the morning model runs here real quickly, and you'll see all of these tracks are going to start taking this off to the east. If they will pop up here, hopefully they'll pop up. But all the guidance starting to show this recurvature, or basically doing one of these. It started last night, really for the last couple of runs. We've seen that kind of pattern here. I'll show you the intensity forecast real quickly while I'm waiting for that to load. You see the forecast taking us to Cat 1 hurricane in about 5 days, but that's as it recurves off the east coast of Florida, and it stays away from us. Apparently, it doesn't want to load. I always like to show the model plots this way, but I may have to show you the old-fashioned spaghetti plots here. So we'll show you the spaghetti plots. And if you notice here, this was the morning runs of the models. They're all doing the boomerang here. The official forecast was actually here, and now it's shifting here. So expect this trend of recurvature and keeping it away from the southeast to continue. But I talked about this pattern. Now, we have the monster ridge over the southeast. That's why we've had crazy hot weather here in September. Some of the hottest weather of the entire year right now. But watch this pattern change. And I'll kind of move this map over a little bit. Because you can see that the ridge breaking down and our tropical system going through this weakness here off to the north and east. Off to the east, starts pushing to the east. If I can get this to go forward, come on. I have to drop this down, so there we go. So you can see it going off to the east, but watch what happens. This ridge, which has been baking us for the better part of, I don't know, it seems like 3-4 weeks now, begins to break down a little bit. And we actually start to see a pretty significant change in the pattern as a trough starts to dig in across the country. So this is going into next week. The ridge is kind of going, and then next weekend into the 23rd, 24th, we start to see the ridge break down and we get more troughiness and cooler weather. So for everybody that's been sweating it out going, when are we going to see a break? I can tell you we're going to see a break here shortly. And the good thing about this break is if we see a trough kind of dig over the U.S., that would help deter tropical systems from getting up here, at least should recurve them before they get to the U.S. So good news and all of that. So I'll be keeping an eye on Humberto, and I'll just call it future Humberto because there it is. But right now, this does not look to be a significant impact on the United States, except for the east coast of Florida. But if you are heading to the beaches, heads up, you're likely going to see some pretty nasty rip currents and some high surf. So please pay attention to all the lifeguard stands and those marine flags across the coast. Of course, I'll post updates, I should say, throughout the weekend if anything changes. But the good news, don't sweat this one. We could have used the rain, actually, but we don't want another huge hurricane. The good news is this looks like it's going to stay offshore. And again, real quickly, that forecast track starting to shift east. And I would not be shocked in the next update coming up at 5. It's even more of a sharper turn like that. So stay tuned.